Let's go. What is up, everyone? We are back. We're live with a special episode of Kangz Council. We are not sure when this is going to be posted, but as of recording, are 2 weeks after the airing of the finale of X-Men 97. So joining us today for the first time, and definitely not the last time, we got the homie Ruben Prime from Culture Attack Podcast. You can find it on Spotify, YouTube, and you could also catch him on Twitter. Ruben, introduce yourself real quick for the peoples.
Yo, what's going on, guys? It's Ruben Prime. Like Supafreak said, I am one half of Culture Attack, and yeah, we basically discuss everything from film, TV shows, culture, pop culture, and we sprinkle in a little bit of wrestling, just tiny bit. But yeah, that's one of the brainchilds of mine and my co-host Drew Yari. And yeah, we've been actually talking about X-Men 97. So, I'm glad to be here right now, just discussing it with you guys on this episode. And yeah, can't wait. Like Supafreak mentioned, you can check me out on YouTube. You can check me out on Spotify, iTunes, and all that good stuff if you want to catch the audio version. And also on YouTube, if you want to catch the video version of the show. And TikTok, and as well as YouTube for the shorts, the little shorts if you want little micro doses of our content. But yeah, definitely check me out there. And yeah, appreciate you guys having me on tonight. And yeah, let's get into it.
Excellent. Let's go. And of course, introducing the rest of the typical peanut gallery got here. Every time this man walks into the room, he hears Omega level threat detected. FallaYoDreams.
Hey, yo. What's up, y'all? Yo.
And then we got... Go ahead.
Oh, no, for, whatever. Their thunder, for I am lightning. Oh, my God, that line was crazy. But, yes.
And then this homie here is waiting to optic blast his way into the discussion. Got Cosmic Kaiser 6.
Got my eyes on the prize. Looking forward to getting this discussion on with the homies. Bam!
We also have a super special guest from the show, the little homie that was being protected from Magneto, Kid Crazy.
Damn, son. I'm trying to protect the little homie from Magneto. He doesn't want to be quiet right now, but yes.
Let's see where that goes.
No, I'm super excited.
And then, yours truly, Supafreak. I just would like to say Magneto was right. Moving on.
Damn.
Obviously, we're talking about X-Men 97 at this point, sitting at a 99% on Rotten Tomatoes, and it's currently the highest rated Marvel project. It's just pretty much higher than everything that they've done MCU related at this point in time. Also, we got it's a callback. They just finished the finale as of 2 weeks ago. Just to give you guys a rundown, the week of the finale, the week that it aired, we actually sat and binge watched it from first episode to last episode in this Discord. We plan on watching it again. Do yourself a favor, watch it on Disney Plus as well. That's where you can find it. It's on Disney Plus streaming right now. A great show. And yeah, just to kick things off, Ruben, what are your first... Oh, yes. Absolute spoiler talk. This is going to be spoilerific. If you have not watched X-Men 97, watch it now before you listen to this. Come back. You can listen to it. We'll be here. This is going to be a spoilerific talk straight away. So just be sure that you've watched it before. At this point, I'm warning you. At this point in time, if you are not listening to me right now, then you're just as bad as Xavier was. Just go watch the damn show and then come back. But yeah, Ruben, what did you think of the show? Just to kick things off.
Oh man. Well, coming into this, it's X-Men. I was very much looking forward to it, but with everything that Marvel has done, their past projects have been, they left a sour taste in my mouth. So going in it, I was very cautiously optimistic with it. And I was okay. Let me give it a chance. Let me not be one of those guys who just enjoy the show. And I'm glad that I did, because it ended up being very enjoyable. You know, it wasn't, it was like one episode was like, just like it felt really, really like lacking filler, but the other episodes were just, right mix of nostalgia, storytelling, character development, nice callbacks, and I enjoyed the show. Like, again, we talked about this on Culture Attack, and me, my co-host, podcasting partner Drew, like we were both talking about how good it was, and he will tell me a lot of times, man, you got to give things a chance, and I gave it a chance, and I'm glad I did, and I'm looking forward to season 2. Just from, I forgot which episode it was. Again, spoiler talk. So, Supafreak warned you prior. I warn you. Everyone else on this panel will warn you. The last chance. So one of the episodes where it was just all the mutants celebrating. They were, and
episode 5.
Yeah, episode 5.
Genosha.
Thank you.
Oh.
Genosha. Yeah, that I was like, oh man, like this is pretty cool. Chill. And I was like, this is something's gonna happen. Like, just you can kind of sense that something was gonna happen. It was just too peaceful. It was too jovial, and when the ending of that episode happened, I was just like, oh, damn, like that just happened. Like that left me floored, and I was in shock. Like normally things don't surprise me. I'll be like, oh, that happened. Okay, move on. But that left an impression, and that set the tone for the second half of the series, of this first season. I was like, wow, that was intense. They did it. They pulled the trigger. Like normally in TV shows, they wouldn't be so, they will be very, very cautious, very like tight leash from killing characters, and they did. And it was, to me, like one of the most like deep moments of the season. And for me, that was okay. I'm glued in. I'm invested. I'm strapped in. We're in it 100, 1,000, 1,000,000%, and I'm glad that I did. And to what Supafreak was saying earlier, Magneto was right. He's right. I'm sorry. He's 100% right. And yeah, I'm looking forward to season 2. I thoroughly enjoyed this. Like, I give it a good solid 9 out of 10. This, from again the callbacks, the Bastion. Bastion was a good multi-layered villain. He wasn't one-dimensional. I was thoroughly impressed from start to finish. Minus the filler episode, but it was small gripe that I had, but other than that, it was just enjoyable all around.
Right. Falla, you want to go next?
Yeah, man. So, watching this show just kind of reminded me of how much we need a show like this going on today, man. Because, like, these are the type of shows that kind of, like, introduce plot and themes and problems that everyday people are kind of going through and facing through right now. I'm not going to get too much about politics or discrimination, but you know what it is, and you see it all around. And I just remember just why I love this show. Made me remind myself why I love the original, even though like going back to it, it's still kind of dated. Like, but at the time they did some things that were considered very adult in comparison to how superhero shows were back then. And but they didn't treat you like a child. You know what I mean? And that's what I liked about this show. This show did not treat you like a child. Like it just presented the drama and everything all out front. People had relationships, everything, which is kind of super complicated. So they just took what was good about the original and they updated it for today's audiences, and it just fit really well, man. I mean, I'm telling you, that episode 1 when Cyclops is like fucking showboating and shooting the lasers, and he's doing like all like stuff from like the X-Men versus Street Fighter like fighting game stuff and stuff in the comics. It's like really cool to see, because usually Cyclops is like pretty lame, you know, in like the movies and you know, and even the other series, like he just shoots like a blast here and there, but like here it really gives you a better idea of like kind of like what Cyclops can do. And it was just really cool to just let him be the leader for an episode and go through all the trials and tribulations. I'm completely agree. I was really surprised in a good way, because I also had reservations similar to Ruben, but it just really grew on me of how adult everything was, and it just kind of had me grasp. It just had me invested all the way through, and obviously, what you know, episode 5 is probably the highlight for me throughout the entire series. I just keep coming back, you know, and again, but like it's cool that every little X-Men featured kind of have their own little moments. You know, obviously, they couldn't dedicate too much time to everyone. Like I feel like Hank probably got the side, but even he got like some stuff. You know what I mean? But yeah, it was really interesting. I do feel at times, and this is only like on the first viewing, like I thought it was like the greatest thing I've ever seen, right? But then, you know, kind of rewatching a little, I was like, you know what? They kind of like blew all their load, so to speak. Like they just rushed through so many plot points, you know, like because I think, for example, episode 3, you know, with the Goblin Queen, you know, Madeline Pryor, the clone of Jean Grey, like that whole thing was like a 40 episode issue in the comics, and they compressed it all to like one episode. And I just wonder if obviously it's easier like looking back, but I don't know how the show was kind of constructed in a way where they're like, you only get 10 episodes to tell your story and then that's it. Or did they know they were going to have a second season? I think that dictates, you know, how hard I could be on them. But let's just say for argument's sake, like this was all they had. Then I would have wished a little bit less of like the filler things, or use it more better, because like the life death storyline with like Storm, it's like, it's hard to really get across in just 20 minutes, because they kind of split the episode into 2 halves, because it's kind of like very relationship wise, and I kind of see why they did that. But I don't know, like that and the whole Goblin King thing, I just felt like they could have soaked up so much of it. And then yeah, man, it was just great. They definitely had surprises pretty much every episode, which was cool, and it just kept you hooked on. So yeah, I thoroughly enjoyed it. I think it's the best Marvel show out there right now. I hope this leads to more, you know, X-Men stuff, you know, more seasons being produced in the future. And it just reminded me how important X-Men were in particular to kids and to entertainment, because of just all those complex themes that they weren't afraid to talk about, and that they're talking about, you know, about relationships, about being different, about you know, like I think there was something that happened in episode 2 where Jean is kind of confessing to Storm, like, I kind of wish he was born human. Like those are all like really deep ideas. And yeah, and I will agree with the other two. Magneto was right. And by the way, Magneto is probably one of the MVPs of this season. The whole cast was great, don't get me wrong, but Magneto's like his fight trying to be better and go Xavier's path, and like the whole and his like this, and his mind is like, it's not all gonna work out. Like that was so interesting. And then that and his relationship with Rogue, it just got really complicated. And yeah, and then at the end you're just like, no dude, Magneto's doing the right thing, like what the fuck, you know. So it was really cool, and it caused some really cool drama. So I enjoyed it. And yeah, I just hope you know, the quality stays better. Aside from like, I feel like the ending was a little bit changed. I kind of didn't want him to go in a certain direction, but I'll talk more about that later. But yeah, I enjoyed it.
Hey, Cosmic?
One word. comes to mind when it comes to describing, or at least just kind of appreciating what this series is, and that's kind of what Fala kind of touched upon in terms of the drama, but I prefer to use the word gravitas, because I feel like for that entire 10 episode run, even with like the few filler-ish things that they threw in here and there, like the Jubilee, Sunspot in video game universe stuff, which probably could have been better off without, in all honesty, it really surprised me and kind of felt like a wake up, almost like a wake up call, even, to be able to see content like this once again, because you could put this side to side with the original X-Men animated series from 1992, 93, however long ago that was again, and there would really be almost no difference outside of maybe, sure, some aspects of the action and all that, because obviously, you know, slightly better budget use here and there, but in particular, the scripting, the dialogues, the character interactions have actually been some of my personal favorite aspects of this. You could kind of say the same thing about the previous thing before, which is why I bring it up, because there's almost no difference in just how weighty the philosophical conversations are. The performances of some of the actors in particular, like, you know, for like obviously some of the bigger brain characters involved here, like Magneto for one, definitely has had a weight on his shoulders, and, you know, assuming this new role, leading the X-Men and trying to find a different way that was not the barbaric way, even if, you know, he wasn't able to go about it long term. Even to Cyclops's sort of semi-character analysis, in that he was trying to kind of find his place as part of the group, following the initial sort of perspective, or the sort of initial understanding of what happened with Charles Xavier, wink, wink, nudge, nudge. But yeah, gravitas is really the word that comes to mind, because a lot of it feels so very heavy. A lot of the script, a lot of the dialogue in question was just so meaty with sort of detailed expressions of sentiment and frustration with the world, and just, man, it's sometimes even hard to put into words even. And I will say though, as much as I'm giving it its props, I will say, even with the initial promotion, I was not prepared to be enamored with it in any way. I figured it was going to be just another soulless, you know, cash grab kind of deal. And I'm glad I was wrong. I'm glad that I took the plunge to watch the marathon that we did here amongst ourselves. And God, episode 5, again, what an episode. So much happened, so many things and events converging in one place, and one thing in particular that completely just like devastated me. One of my favorite characters in Gambit succumbing to the fate that he did was absolutely the worst. And you guys can vouch for my reaction at the time.
Nah, he went on like a G, bro. I don't know what else to say. He's just
of course.
He's just that motherfucker, bro. Like bro. I love that entire episode, because that motherfucker was a G, bro. He like Rogue even broke the news to him, try to make out in front. I was like, bitch, like at least be a little bit fucking sensitive to this man's feelings. But he was still, he was nice about that. He left before all that happened, and even all that, he just ultimately he just loved her, and he went out defending, you know, the people he loved. So like that man went out like a G, bro, and he took out what no one else could take out, because everyone was getting bodied.
100%. I love. Yeah, like I 1,000%. I love though how we kind of ended up to that sort of situation where everything just escalated the way it did, little by little. Of course, you know, the little bits of seeds planted in getting a glimpse of the secret relationship that Rogue and Magneto apparently had, you know, in their younger years or what have you, and how that kind of was messing with Gambit to a degree. Because I feel like that was a good move to kind of give Gambit something to work towards and not just be the cool Cajun a badass that we know him to be. Although, you know, when has that ever stopped him from?
I mean, I'm not gonna say no to that.
But like, just like, yeah, like how the road to getting there was so well paced. Like the pacing throughout the show, honestly, was probably some of the best I think I've encountered in modern media in a long time.
Yeah, it's definitely a plus and a minus, because like it's good because they just go through a lot of things, but then the thing is, like, I feel like certain moments they could have synced in just a little bit more, just that have, you know what I mean? Because I just felt like as soon as something happened, something else, I'm like, what the fuck? How do we get like you just like time passes. Here we are. They're like, no bullshit, which is, it's fine because you know they have all this lore to count on or whatever. So like they have no loss of writing material. But like I just feel like some of the things like for example the whole Stormforge thing didn't quite come through because of you know, there just wasn't enough time. Like you're compressing a 40 issue you know, arc in 20 minutes, you know what I mean? So people aren't gonna really care about Forge in that way to be like to give a fuck, right? I think they were just like, man, we just need a reason for Storm to not be around right now. Why don't we just do this live dev shit where she don't have her? Oh, okay. And so yeah, but for the most part, the pacing's like, I'd say is like 90%. It's pretty good. I just feel like there's certain moments, like for example, even near the end, with, I guess I should call out the other big moment when Magneto rips out the adamantium from Wolverine, right? That's a pretty big moment.
I was gonna talk about that. And
yeah. Well,
that was like a really big thing.
Yeah. We'll go back. We'll go back.
Later.
Yeah. We'll go back. I'm just making a quick point. So, there's little hands that drip that like Logan is like, he just wants to fucking kill Magneto, but there wasn't enough time with him to get that sense of like in the beginning episodes where he just like, I fucking hate you, I want to kill you, he needs to die, he needs to go. Because even like in that episode when he's charging at like Magneto in the beginning of the fight, Rogue stops him. He's like, you're looking to aim to kill, Sugar, you need to calm down, blah blah blah, right? But you don't quite get that across from those two moments, right? I mean, like, you can if you look into it, but it's like, it would have been good if they had a little bit more time to just develop that. So then when Wolverine stabs him in the back like that, you know what I'm saying? Like, oh shit, he actually did that shit. You know, because sometimes, especially if you're not paying attention, it just kind of felt like it's out of nowhere, and then you just kind of feel like, you know, like what are you fucking doing Magneto like that, bro? Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, no, Wolverine really thought like literally the world was gonna end, and he's gonna fix it or he needs to die, and that was Wolverine's like point of view, you know. But I just felt like that didn't come across. So like that's what I mean, like certain pieces, especially near the end, the pacing's a little deso, but building up to episode 5, pretty much, you know, aside from the life death stuff, chef's kiss. But you were saying?
Brother, like, yeah, pacing from 1 through 5 to leading to what happened in 5 was definitely some of the best stuff I've seen. Even like, I definitely liked how Cyclops was handled. Definitely highlighted again his turmoil and his sort of, you know, growing pains into sort of achieving that leader status that we largely know him for, especially with the one interview that he had that he had in the his response to the questions, and you can see he was letting that shit go, letting people know what the fuck is up. That we are where we are because of the shit that regular ass people fucking do, and y'all need to just sit the fuck back and let us do what we need to do because y'all can't do any better. Like, God, it was powerful stuff, man.
That was cold.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Ice cold.
You lucky we aren't like you because we worried we would have wiped you out a long time ago. Fucking bars.
Fucking mic
Mhm.
drop. Like, oh my god.
I mean, like,
Props
but you
to-
know, expendable. Like he just lost his son, but yeah, no. Props to because you know, there's obviously most of the original voice cast did return, but there were some that obviously had to be replaced. Like, you know, the original actor for Cyclops, he actually passed away just before this project was made. It kind of sucks. And you know, a couple other people. Like, I think the original Gambit's playing Cable in this for some reason. But yeah. But you know, so yeah, so there's some from the new cast and then some from the old cast, but there's a balance. There's probably reasons why, or they weren't around or they passed away. Like those are basically the main reasons. But literally everyone else, you know, came back and did their duty. But you were saying?
Yeah. I mean, speaking of the old guard of voice actors, Cal Dodd for Wolverine has not changed a goddamn day since the 90s performances of his. Still on point, still as grizzled as ever. Oh, you just feel it in your chest.
You know
every time
what,
you
though?
talk shit, man.
The only thing he did great. The only thing I would have liked was like I can smell him line, just because of how much it was referenced in the original show. They didn't do that. Actually, Wolverine was pretty much like a backdrop, like pretty much the entire thing, which I agree with.
Yeah.
Which was cool to see, because normally, like, we develop a project like this, like Wolverine's by far the most popular character of the X-Men, like hands down.
Without
Like,
question.
Yeah.
you know, so it was great to just have him there, but like he's not the lead. You know, they did that very well, but also he's not like, he's there too. You know what I'm saying? So he just kind of let everyone have their moments, because Wolverine's so fully developed as a character and everyone knows what he's about, but not so much the other X-Men, that I thought that was the right call to make. But I would have loved, like, you know, I could smell him. You know, like I would have loved just one. It only needed to be one line. It didn't have to be like every episode, like in the original thing. But it would have been, you know, I don't know. It's not necessary, but it would have been a nice, cool thing. I would have been like, yes, that's my Wolverine, baby. you know.
Oh yeah, completely. I understand, man. But shit, God, so many, and like, and again, it's so good, just like how good everything else is around this. Because going back to like the initial trailer and all that, even with some of the admittedly awesome stuff that was shown in that situation, like, you know, the super awesome Cyclops landing with the fucking optic blast in the desert.
Optic blast!
Behold! Like,
Behold,
stuff.
they definitely put MVC X-Men vs. Street Fighter references in this show, by the way. So, like,
Yeah,
if you
no.
love all
Yeah,
those
there's
old fighters,
so many
they definitely did.
references.
Bro, dive kick.
Yep. Yep.
Yeah, a lot
So
of good calls.
So for those of you who noticed, and it was not a coincidence. Capcom heavily influenced the X-Men, I feel like, when they did their take with the video games, and vice versa. And I just feel like that's why I love the X-Men and fighting games, mostly because of like that era of just like, you know, like without those shows like Spider-Man, X-Men, Batman the animated series, and then what do you call it, the Marvel Capcom games, like that like cemented like superheroes so much bigger than, you know, what it is. And then when you had X-Men versus Street, bro, I lost my goddamn mind when I was a kid. Are you kidding me? I was like, what? Were you fighting fucking Wolverine? What the fuck? I was just like, and then you play the game, it's like, it's the same fucking voice actors for the most part. It's like pretty much the same voice actors. It's like, oh
much,
man. So yeah.
That iteration of X-Men that we know of the animated series and all that, was definitely like instrumental for a lot of the people, including ourselves, that came up on this stuff and clearly, you know, watch this show and enjoy it. And just to kind of top things off, apologies for getting all long-winded on here, but
No, it's okay.
I'm very excited to see where season 2 goes, considering how everything ends with how everything ended in the previous in the most recent episode and all that, with the characters that we did end up seeing and the circumstances that everybody was kind of placed in, time travel, apocalypse, all other kinds of interesting things that are just gonna be like It really could go anywhere, and it's good to have this feeling again about a Marvel product. So shout outs to everybody at Marvel Animation that made this happen, to the creator that who unfortunately got kicked out of everything for whatever. But yeah,
Well, the showrunner, but I don't know if that man wrote most of the episodes. That motherfucker was cooking, and that something needs to be done. I
Yeah, he
don't
needs to come
know.
back.
Yeah, I don't give a fuck what problem. I don't get look. If he wants to post his dick on OnlyFans, I could give two shits. Okay, I need my good X-Men show. All right,
thank you.
I don't
Exactly.
care. I'm just saying.
But yes.
Yep.
Moving on to somebody else before I start talking my head.
Moving on to Kid Crazy.
Yes, please.
So this show brought me back to being a kid, like, or, 11, 12 years old and watching this, but also from the moment it started, it drew you in, and the opening sequences and seeing where the season may go to. Relax, bud, relax. And for me, it was everything I was looking forward to and I wanted. But then my connection for me, I connected with Cyclops so much more than I did when I was a kid. Because now I'm a dad. So it's like losing your kid and having that feeling was more impactful for me. And I remember in the last episode, from the beginning to the end, and even the Genosa episode, it was just, I watched it weekly. So it wasn't like I binged it and had like, oh, I got everything all at once. No, I watched it. I waited, I watched it, I waited, and then every episode just kept on drawing me in and in and in. When I got to episode 5, seeing Gambit die, seeing, Magneto was right, and I'm gonna say it till the day I die. Magneto was right. Everyone else who complains that he wasn't right, you have to understand he was right all along.
Look,
But
how he took his actions may have been a little extreme, in terms
Yes.
of like fucking plunging,
Yeah,
destroying Earth. But, but yeah.
it was like, there's so many things. It was like they were throwing back an homage to the original series, but they also wanted to pave its own path at the same way. And the people, the writers, the actors, and everything, you can tell that they were genuinely, like, they're fans of the product, and you can tell and see that in what they're making. So for me, it was more like, where we're gonna go from here. And I kind of wasn't shocked at the ending, because, like, if you watch every opener, what they would do is they would show hints of like which villains that they were going to show and who they were gonna like be with, like progressing wise. So I kind of knew Apocalypse was coming, but I didn't know how Apocalypse was gonna be coming into the series, because he died. Like, they played him. The X-Men in the original series defeated him. So how were they going to reintroduce him? So, and it was just something
He's like Bison, bro. He always comes
yeah,
back.
he's like Bison, exactly. And I was excited to see that. But for me, I was sitting there when Wolverine, like, watching it, sitting there, and when Wolverine stabbed Magneto in the back, I was just like, and Magneto said that one line, I was like, no, they're not doing this. They're not going to rip his adamantium out. I'm like, please don't do this, because I knew where it was coming from, and it just gets me excited that where they could go. They could go so many. Like, is he gonna have bone claws? Is he gonna be, like, where they can go from there? But also, like, the relationship with Magneto and Rogue, Charles and Magneto's relationship as well in the last 2 episodes. It was just, I wouldn't say it's perfect, because I didn't like any of the filler. Like, the filler part kind of felt out of place, but there was a purpose for it. I was more invested in, like, Cyclops and Jean Grey. Like, come on, they showed the Phoenix. and I was just like, hold on. Didn't she lose her Phoenix Force? But it was just, it was perfect in its own way, but it did need little pieces that needed to be worked. That's really all I can really say. Sorry, I'll be right back. I'll be right back.
Mhm. With that being said, I think I'm gonna move on and say, yeah, we're talking about a show that's been in the making now for what's it been, 3 years?
30 years. Oh,
No, well, yeah, 30 years. But like, I'm talking about like
It felt
this
like it
actual
was-
show. This actual show like kind of like went into production what, like 3-4 years ago, something like that.
Yeah,
About, yeah.
yeah,
I think so.
And I saw a documentary that just came out, I think this past Wednesday, about the making of it. It's really cool. I suggest you guys check it out.
Yeah.
But they were saying like they made the show and then they made it too similar to the 90s thing, and then they just had a feeling of like, no, we gotta adapt. And I'm glad they went with that call, because apparently they were just going just as cheesy, just as like voice acting wise. And I just think something they were saying like something just didn't quite click, and then that's when they decided to just kind of make things to update things to be a little bit more contemporary. So it's just like little tidbits like that. That they shared, include with like a lot of stuff that people would enjoy. I highly suggest it's on Disney Plus. So I highly suggest you guys check that out if you interested in how the show was made.
Yeah, they usually do those documentaries on how certain things were done for each Marvel and everything actually. Marvel, Star Wars, whatever they have released now, they release like a how-to, like how they did it afterward, and they're usually very good, very instructive, and very informative. Actually, it's very interesting. But again, like X-Men 97, and it's like well, why is it called X-Men 97? Some people ask, and it's just like, well, it's because the original show debuted in 92, but it ended in 97, and so this kind of picks up where that left off. And yeah, it was just like I don't want to be the guy to say like I told you so, because when this was announced, I was all about it, and I know people were apprehensive about it, and understandably, like Disney hasn't handled things well. So like when it initially dropped, and I was just like, yeah, this is gonna be sick, because I'm older, so I'm super nostalgic of the older series, and once I heard that this was announced, I was just like, fuck yeah, I'm all about this 100%. It's gonna be good, even if it was cheesy and hokey, but I'm glad it wasn't. This is really crazy because it stems from a Saturday morning cartoon, right? And this is a 10-episode season, which is very short for that kind of series, but for what they did story-wise and connecting each episode to one another, it was more than that. And this is not a show that I would say, you could say like, hey, this isn't a show for kids, but is it really? Because there was no cursing, there was no anything to make it above a PG rating, right? Like, yeah, there's some like violence, but nothing that was beyond the Saturday morning cartoon old X-Men, right? Like, and that's the thing, that they kind of kept the spirit of the old X-Men cartoon and making it for something that could be for kids, but they very much kept it so like adult themes, and being able to watch it as an adult and being able to get something out of it and be super entertained about it. There's a lot of things that they put into this that they have very adult themes that kids, it would just kind of go over kids' head, because they would be involved in action sequences, for example, like the whole pregnancy with Jean and like everything that happened with that and so on and so forth, right? But yeah, it just went from Saturday morning cartoon to this series. And one thing that Ruben definitely mentioned in his podcast that I want to touch on is just like, is it going to be popular enough? Did enough people watch this, right? Like, that's something that kind of stuck out to me, because it's just like, yeah, like I think so, because it caught the mainstream. There was definitely a lot of like Twitter mainstream trends and people posting about it constantly on Twitter, like clips and things like that. I was trying to avoid it as much as I could, but with that being said, there was so much on there, and at one point Magneto was trending the entire week of when that episode aired and the finale, which was crazy to me to see that, right? Like, as a fan, as watching it, I was just like, wow, this is kind of nuts. So I think it reached the audience, the core audience that it needed to reach. I think it was a great fantastic season. I think it was well done. The animation is very much tied to the old show, but with a new twist. Very fine touches and attention to detail. Shout out to the writer Bo DeMeo, I believe his name is. He's the head writer. Yes, unfortunately, he was canned prior to the airing of the first season, but he's put in the work for season 1 and 2, and he's continuing to he's continued to advise them for where to go for season 2 and season 3, should there be one. So shout outs to Bo. He's been fantastic.
Sorry to cut you off, for a second. So they greenlight season 3 somewhere. I was reading. So we're getting at least 3 seasons.
Yes.
So everybody, we will be getting at least 3 seasons.
And I know everybody's concerned because they fired the head writer, the head showrunner, but he's involved. He's already done the work for season 2, and he was involved or had some kind of input for season 2 and 3 on where to go. And shout out to Bo, because he was definitely I wasn't paying super attention to it because I didn't want to be spoiled, but during the airings of the episode, he would tweet out, hey guys, here's your homework for this episode, check out old seasons episodes so and so for this episode. So he very much connected current comic arts or comic arcs that they had, as well as old season stuff, to say like, hey, like here's a new way of putting the story together for you guys. So shout out to Bo, man. I really hope they bring him back. I really hope they kind of get over whatever it is that happened and bring him back to work on this, because I thought this was a fantastic season. With that being said, I think we could talk into more serious or more detailed discussions regarding the issues. We already touched on it. Oh god, favorite episodes. I mean, yeah, I didn't hate the filler episode because it had a lot of nostalgic, like the arcade game. They threw a lot of things for like a lot of fan references. That was an Easter egg episode. That was hey, we respect that you're watching, and then they kind of moved it on. So shout out to getting that out early. You know,
I will say this, because Jubilee does deserve to have an episode of her own. Absolutely, I don't deny that. Because this was just kind of like just showing her to go. Because, you know, Jubilee as a mutant fighter, especially in the show as of now, like in the continuity, she's not that powerful, right? So it was just a good idea to just have this, like, here's your future self. Here's what you can actually do, blah, 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 blah. And it kind of pays off later. I'm just saying, you know, they probably could have did it. Either that or, like, we definitely needed a Jubilee story, but I don't know if that one was necessarily the right play. But then again, you know, there was just not enough time to really do a whole Jubilee growing into her own feed when you have like literally 8 other X-Men kind of doing the same thing. So it's kind of hard, but which is why I thought it was weird that they introduced kind of Sunfire. I don't know. I kind of didn't like him. Sunspot, yeah, sorry, Sunspot. I mean, I liked him, but I didn't like him. But you know, I got it. I get it, because he was like he was basically Jubilee was in the original show.
Yes.
You know? Yeah. And like, so I did get the use of him. It's just yeah, I don't know. Maybe because they, like, if they had a 20 episode season versus a 10 episode season, I wouldn't have minded so much. You know, but. Just because in the context, especially when other things were kind of rushed, I just felt like, well, what's more important, you know? But yeah, I loved all the references. There was plenty of references to go around. And yeah. And I don't know, can we who are your top, and this is gonna be hard, who were your top 3 characters of the series of this season? Because it's kind of hard to choose.
That is a really tough question.
It's very tough.
It's tough.
You're putting a gun to my head, and I don't appreciate that.
So
I know, right?
For me, I would say Cyclops, because I just connected.
Cyclops was so good the whole series.
He was so good, and you have to realize I connected to him on more of a personal level, like the themes that they were going through, the things that he was going through as a leader, as a father, trying to find his place again, everything from Jernosa, his son, and just like, okay, in the last episode, how he was telling his son how he loved him. and he's connected with his son, and just his overall character arc drew me in. I would say Magneto too, because Magneto from the original to now was such a shift, especially in the first episode, how everyone didn't trust him, and then he had to work to build everyone's trust. But then when he did build everyone's trust, you know, he got screwed over, and it was just, it's like a, those two are probably my two favorite, and I don't know for my third, because I love every single one of them had their own
Yeah, no,
place
it's
that
hard.
I like.
I'm asking the hard.
Those,
I'm asking the
but
hard
those-
questions.
but those two were just like,
Okay.
those are my top two. Like, I don't have a third because everyone else is just, they're my third. It's like at that point, I feel like, you know, I could say Wolverine, but that's just the cheap, like, that's an easy way to go. But then Morph also, if you kind of see Morph's character arc with how he, well, not he, but they went through, you know?
Mhm.
And, like, Morph has a relationship with Wolverine. He actually cared for Wolverine. At one point, he turned into Jean Grey to say, I love you. Because that's how he could feel, or they could feel for Wolverine themselves. So
Yes.
it's like, and that could be another, like, there's so many. And then Rogue was like, I've always liked Rogue, but then it made me like Rogue even more. And it's just how they put the characters to connect with an older audience, because they understood their audience has aged, to make it fit for them was so well done that it makes this question so hard. So it's not one character, but really my top two. I can't pick a third.
Yeah.
It's Cyclops and Magneto.
It's really hard because that's how good everyone was, right? And then
Yep.
everyone had enough story to kind of go around, so it's kind of hard to choose. But yeah, I'm still gonna ask the hard questions. All right, Ruben, what about you?
Oh, geez. Well, Magneto, for one, like Kid Crazy was mentioning, like his arc to gain the X-Men's trust, like that was an arc. And, you know, the voice actor who voiced Magneto, just brilliant. I like his
Fucking
voice.
killed that shit. The monologue in episode 2 when he gets pissed off about Storm and carries everyone up. He's like, "Do not make me let you down." Oh my god.
Yeah,
killed that shit. And then
was
later on, the shit in episode 5, even when he's fighting, like even the shit at the end, like Magneto's.
Yeah, I hate
he had
Leech,
a
but when he
whole
looked
fucking
at
journey.
Leech and he was like, he said, "Don't be afraid" in German. In German, I was
Yeah.
like, "Oh my god, bro!"
That was tough, man. And Gambit, I gotta give it to my boy Gambit. Like he went out like a true hero. He went out like a true G, just because, regardless of everything, he, again, he went out like a fucking G. And regardless of the Rogue, Magneto, love triangle, like he still cared about Rogue. He still cared about.
He was
everyone.
getting curved. He was getting
he
was
curved
getting-
fully,
bruh.
and he was like,
That man
"I
was a
still love
true
you, mon
fucking
chéri."
gentleman, bro. He kissed. He was like, "We'll be friends. I know you're gonna fuck up with him, and you're gonna come back to me. But till then, like this motherfucker was just so smooth with it, bro. And you could tell deep down he was kind of hurt by all that shit. But bro, you know what's the worst part about it? He died not knowing Rogue chose him.
Yep. And that
Damn.
part sucks, and
Damn.
it's relatable. Again, that part is relatable because it's stuff that happens in real life.
In real life, bro, all that drama.
Yeah, all that love, all that love drama, like it's relatable. Like you may not always get the girl, but when you do, it's it sucks. So that's why I got to give it up to Gambit. And then finally, I would say definitely Cyclops. Like he was well written. I was thoroughly impressed with the arc that Scott Summers had, especially with Jean, with Cable, with Madeline. Like
Well,
it.
well, Nathan with
Yeah,
Nathan.
yeah, with
Uh,
Nathan, yeah. But
yeah.
yeah, it was for me like this was the best showcase of Cyclops. You know, Scott Summers. Like we got to see both Scott Summers
Mhm.
and Cyclops,
Yeah.
and I thoroughly enjoyed that. Like he, even the Summers family got got some shine, which was like I love that. That was a nice nice screen time they had together as a family. I enjoy that. The cameos, I mean, not
Right,
related,
the
but the
Marvel
cameo,
cameos.
the
Yeah,
Marvel
yeah.
cameos were, oh my god. We got a little bit
Bro,
of Captain America.
they
Yeah,
better not dick tease us and not at least make a Spider-Man. I mean, I can understand the other ones because you don't know, right? But you
yeah,
got at the very
Spider-Man.
least
You
make a
gotta have
Spider-Man.
Spider-Man.
And
Yeah,
you
Marvel
gotta
animated
have
cinematic
Spider
universe.
Blood, Spider Blood.
yeah,
Yeah, they gotta have spider blood, bro.
yeah. They gotta have, but yeah, those are my top three. Those are my top three, and
Nice.
I love Rogue. So
Yeah.
that's like we already know Rogue is like up there. That's why I didn't mention her because it'll be like, yeah, just mention Rogue like everyone else. But definitely Rogue is definitely up there as well. Like
Yeah.
she killed it
Like
this
again,
season.
it's hard. It's a hard question I'm proposing because everyone literally did great. It's not like
Yeah.
Yeah,
it's very hard. I'm asking the hard questions. How about you, Freak? And I'll go last.
Uh, for me, honestly, it's interesting because these are characters that I wasn't a fan of as a kid.
Mm-hmm.
As a kid, I didn't like Cyclops that much. As a kid, I wasn't a super fan of Gambit. Some people were, some people were. I was not. I was a fan of Magneto, but that's because I always thought Magneto was dope. But aside from that, like those are the characters that I was just like, man, I came away from this and I was just like, Cyclops, Gambit, and Magneto really blew me away this entire series. Those would be my three. Like, yes, it's hard. I'm a Wolverine. I definitely love Wolverine day in day out. That's one of my favorite Marvel characters. And I think they did a great job. That's the thing. I think they did a fantastic job of Wolverine in the series. You know, they put him in the back seat a little bit, but they gave him his little moments to shine. Where he was just Logan being Logan, and it was super sick. But the characters that stood out to me were definitely, and even Rogue to a bit. Like I always loved Rogue, but they gave her the supreme emotional spots.
Oh, bro, yes.
Yeah.
And yeah, the voice cast, shout out to the voice cast, they did a fantastic job for sure. But yeah, so it would for me it's definitely Cyclops, Gambit, and Magneto.
Like Freak,
Nice.
you could say like me because now you're a dad too. Like you connected more with him with the struggles he was going through as a father.
He's trying not to be a deadbeat dad like his dad.
Yeah, exactly. And it was just
Yeah,
you get it. Yeah, you know.
No. Yeah. Yeah, Cyclops has definitely done justice in this thing. And I never liked Cyclops as a youngin, when I was growing up. He just seemed a little too, I definitely was also the Wolverine guy. But yeah, my top three, and this is very hard for me, but I'd say number one, Magneto, just because he carried like a lot of the emotional gravitas and the tension throughout the entire plot. Two, I have to go. Obviously, my avatar is there for a reason. Rogue, the work that she did, the journey that she had, beginning to choose her struggles with like, her feel and touch and her relationship with Gambit because she can't touch him, she can't feel him, but she can feel Magneto, and then ultimately learning that there's some things, deeper than skin, and just realizing that she loved Gambit because I think she didn't know until she kissed Magneto, and then and just all the work she did. Like I love that gangster shit she did with Captain America. It's like, oh, so you're gonna fight with me? And it's like, no, actually, I gotta stand down. I gotta do this by the book. Oh, so that means you won't need this shit.
that was mad petty.
It was petty as shit, but like I fucking loved it. I was like, yo, and then you see Cap like, you bitch. Yo, that
Cap
shit
was just like understood.
Yeah, exactly,
Copy.
exactly. And then my number 3, even though like Cyclops and a lot of them did great, my number 3 is actually the person who carried the show from episode 5 on, and I'm gonna give it a Nightcrawler, bro. Nightcrawler just
Woo.
came in
Yeah.
and fucking had all
You're
these
right.
moments with
With
Rogue,
Micah.
with the X-Men, when everyone was fucking down in their deepest, you know, like at the worst times, he was there for them, bro. And he looked out for fucking everyone, especially Rogue, because they,
Yeah.
you know, for those of you who don't know,
Yeah.
like they're adopted siblings, they're family. So, so it was just really cool for him to be there in those moments. And obviously Nightcrawler is one of the coolest X-Men ever. So it was really cool to get his formal introduction into the show. I always loved Nightcrawler since the video games. And then, you know, obviously he's not in a lot of games, you know, but yeah, he's definitely one of the famous X-Men. And when he came in, because in the original series, he was only in like a couple episodes. It wasn't like he was in there all that long. But they were able to take what he did in the show and still carry that weight and go even further with it. And he was just there for a lot of people. And then so when he went in with the X-Men, you weren't like, well, why is he with them now? Because he wasn't like with the X-Men officially. So like Nightcrawler just really just carried so many emotional moments from episode 5 on that I gotta give it to my boy Nightcrawler, even though I loved all the Cyclops stuff. Like it's so hard. And then I'll talk about Jean Grey just for a second, because I always hated Jean Grey. I always thought the best thing about Jean Grey is when she's dead.
Wow.
Gene is a dead Gene.
Bro, I
Says
just
Falla.
I couldn't stand the bitch, bro, because the thing is like she's supposed to be this super powerful mutant, but in the old series she was just such a fucking what's it? Princess Peach? She's
damsel in distress.
Damsel in distress, right?
Yeah.
So she was always a damsel in distress, it's always this and blah blah. Like you never got a grasp of how powerful she actually is. And in this show she actually does shit. She did great work. She was voiced by Jennifer Hale, by the way, you know, goated actress. So I mean, needless to say, she did great work there. I just want to bring her up because the shit that she had that fight with Sinister and the way Sinister was dodging and all that shit, that shit was sick, bro. I was just like, oh man,
When she
made me like made me like Jean for a second there, even though normally I like when she's dead, just because there's just certain mutants, certain people who are just like real talk. There's just certain people who are just too fucking powerful, and it just kind of make things stagnant, and you don't know what to do with her. You know what I'm saying? So like Jean is definitely one of those people where she's like, yeah, she's gonna get the fucking Phoenix Force, and she's gonna go psycho, bitch. And like I've seen this a billion times, bro. I don't want to see this shit anymore. But at least the arc that they did with this one, especially her dealing with the fact that she's been cloned, can't control it. Dark Phoenix, light punch, light punch, light punch, light punch. But you know, at least with the work she did, and then like answering questions whether like if this is her son or not, or blah blah blah, and then Nightcrawler even comforting her like, look, does it matter? You felt it, like, you know what I'm saying? Like all that matters is whether you are they family or not. You know what I'm saying? And so like I don't know, man. Nightcrawler said some real shit, bro, and so that's why he's my number 3. And I just give special shout outs to Jean because I love the way that they use Jean in the context of this show. Obviously, she wasn't active in the first half because obviously she's preggers. Well, preggers and other stuff,
Yes.
cloned,
Yeah.
and you know,
Captured and
whatever.
And
The only thing that kind of got me pissed off was episode 5. She catches Cyclops having a psychic thing with Madeline Pryor, right? But then just a moment before, she just fucking kissing Logan. Like, I don't know. She just kind of, you know what I'm saying, like, bro. And then she's mad at her, but it's like, to Cyclops, you're the same fucking person. I love both of you. Like when he said, "Who do you love? You love me or her?" He's like, "I love fucking both of you, bro." Like I love you, Jean, obviously, but then I love the clone because she's mother my son, and like we just fucking lost
you when we had a baby. You know?
Yeah, bro. Like, come on. Like, you can't. You guys are basically the same fucking person. Like,
It's cheating. It's cheating.
But,
cheating, Gene.
yeah. The only thing I'm hoping for a second season is I hope they bring in Psylocke, bro. I love me some Psylocke. And Colossus. If they bring in those two, we cooking. But yeah, those are my top 3.
I think Kaiser, did you give your top 3?
I did not get a chance. I was about
Let's
to
go.
say, follow. You can be the last one. We'll get my word in.
I thought you went, but no, because I saw you muted, and so I was like, oh shit. Okay, let me go.
Oh no worries. But yeah, and the thing is, like, y'all already mentioned a few of my favorites already, so that does make it a bit difficult to bring up any new points.
It doesn't matter.
Talking wise, I
oh,
know,
shout outs to Storm. Obviously, she's the fucking queen. But you know what I'm saying.
Gotta shout out Storm.
But I'm just, you know, she had great moments with Jean Grey and shit like that. But you know what I'm saying. There's only 3 people I could fucking choose, bro. But they all did great. That's what I'm saying. It's so hard for me to choose, but. Like, come on, bro. Come on, bro.
Definitely a great honorary mention, considering that you don't really see her have that many issues like that in the original series, to my understanding, or just from my shoddy memory of watching this series from way back when. But I don't remember Storm or anybody like Storm on that level, you know, being given such a hard L of losing their powers and being forced to sort of nut up or shut up, for lack of a better expression, to get her powers back. But I mean, at the same time, dealing with her claustrophobia, which is pretty huge character-wise. But yeah, definitely shout outs to her. But as far as top 3, in no order, personally, like, just to get them out the way: Gambit, Rogue, and I wanted to say Cyclops, but since you mentioned Nightcrawler, Falla, that kind of got me thinking, just like as far as like having somebody there to kind of be the emotional
rock,
the linchpin,
right.
exactly. The one who kind of helps maintain that sort of team spirit and keeps everybody kind of grounded amidst their rage, amidst the group's turmoils and tribulations following what happened in Genosha and the issue with, you know, Bastion shortly afterwards. That was I think that was very important to have.
Bro, my heart skipped a beat when Nightcrawler saved Magneto and Rogue, and then he came out just smoked. He was cooked, and I was like, no. And then I was like, nah, not my boy. No, come on, I just saw him. No, he cooked. And then Gambit's like, he alive. I was like, oh, thank God.
I know, man. He had way too many close call moments in episode 5. God damn.
He toasted.
Oh yeah, but shout out. Yeah, but you know who actually got cooked was Banshee. Fuck that dude. That motherfucker got incinerated. Damn.
So many fucking mutants died in that shit, and that was fucking crazy. But yeah, Gambit goes without saying, kind of with what you guys already brought up regarding his keeping his pain to himself with dealing with Rogue's rejection, and unfortunately not living to find out the truth. But I get the feeling that after, but apparently there was, I'm not sure if we'd seen it in our marathoning of it, but there apparently was a post-credit scene involving Apocalypse picking up one of Gambit's cards.
Yes, there was. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I found that after the fact.
Yeah. That's gonna lead into season 2.
Actually, so yeah, I guess we're definitely gonna be getting Gambit resurrected as likely one of the 4 horsemen of Apocalypse. So that'll be interesting to see. Yeah, definitely want to see where that goes, and just and like seeing Rogue's character kind of get broken down, and at the same time her sort of change in attitude later on in the latter third of the series was very interesting to see. And
I mean, did you fault her for joining Magneto?
No, because she was 100% in her feelings. I'm not gonna say that she was completely in the right, but I understand where she was coming from.
Yeah,
she was doing what she felt was the best possible situation.
Bruh, when she said like, oh, what are you doing, Rogue? We're a family. When Storm said that, she was like, bitch, you weren't here. I was at Genosha. You guys don't know. You guys don't know what fucking went on. I was like, damn,
Mhm.
that's some fucking real shit right there, bro.
I know.
Like,
You didn't have to say that, but damn, you're not wrong. She had a pocket,
This-
but she's
And then-
right.
yeah,
the funny thing is, like, the writing was brought in where Gambit and not Gambit, Rogue and Magneto was never a thing in the original series, but they were a thing in the comics, right? Like that was something that was
they
brought
were.
in,
They absolutely were.
and so they brought in a little
Yes.
history from the comics into the series, which I thought was like great. It was a great way to bring in like backstory history where it's just like, oh, I didn't know this was there, and it is, and yeah, so that whole aspect of it, but the delivery of the line, sugar, I can't feel you.
I can't feel you.
I fucking, I was going
Oh.
to cry. I was definitely gonna cry, dude.
Bro, and she was touching him and
already,
shit.
brother.
Like, oh, damn.
Oh, I was
that scene
devastated.
was heavy.
And then he died without her telling him that she loved him. Damn.
Mhm.
Like,
Fuck.
Yeah, so
and he saved her, by the way.
yeah,
Right
so Gambit's coming back with a fucking cuck of a vengeance.
Oh, he's gonna.
No wonder he's gonna be mad.
No,
One target.
he's gonna come back. He's gonna be like, well, Gambit and Rogue have some issues. Mon ami. Oh, fuck you. Gave my
I thought we
life
was
for
in a
what?
thing.
Yeah, all right, so because we could talk about this shit forever. So why don't we talk about like what are you guys looking forward to season 2? So I'm kind of like I personally don't like them going the apocalypse route. I get it. I understand why, because they're trying to reintroduce modern audiences to apocalypse. And but the thing is, in the original show, he was done so much that I'm like fucking tired of apocalypse. You know, like even though it was like 30 years ago, it may be just me just watching the original show leading up to this, where I'm like, really? Because I think the more interesting shit is Onslaught. I thought they were gonna fucking do Onslaught like halfway through because of the whole mind fragment stuff coming in and all that jazz, like, you know, like the shattered minds, and like they definitely dropped hints of like Onslaught coming, because when Magneto pulls the shit from Wolverine, that event is called Fatal Attractions, and that leads straight into Onslaught. So but the thing is, I understand why they didn't, because Onslaught is kind of like a multi-universal threat, and they probably want, like, if they're planning to do other animated shows like Captain America or whatever, they probably want to do some big, like, all of Marvel event shit regarding Onslaught.
So, because you're saying that, a lot of people are saying it might connect to What If because of the Watcher, and that's usually what they use for their like multi.
But the Watcher just watches like major events. It's basically just saying in this timeline, because they just wanted to tell you, yeah, Gambit's actually fucking dead. Like, there's no time travel shenanigans. You can't go back, fucking rescue him. Motherfucker's cooked. He's dead.
Yeah.
So for Marvel, because I don't know, I like watching reactions. So I saw people react to the episode, and then there was some people first playthrough like, is that the fucking Watcher?
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? And I was just like, oh damn, they about to find out. I'm over here rubbing my hands.
And the infamous about Cable saying, like, I went back 200 and something times.
Yeah,
I could not change that event.
Yeah.
Like, that's a whole thing.
He tried, and then he literally couldn't do it.
Yeah.
200 times. Imagine watching your mom die 200 times. Bruh.
It had to happen.
Canon event, as the kids call it.
Well, I think it's interesting because at least this part of the discussion, as far as like what's the what's the connection, what's it going to be, where they're going for season 2, because I think part of it is like, are they connecting this to the MCU in some way? And it's possible,
I think they just need to leave that shit the fuck
no.
alone.
I think because I think they know that it's like they don't want to do it too tight. Like it's because it's like you're not going to put animated characters into the MCU, right? So I think they're doing this in a really careful way where they can continue to build the MCU lore that they need to, with it being kind of like multiversal with like the Watcher and so on and so forth. But also like some people are saying like, yes, it's Apocalypse, but there are also hints of Kang being involved as well.
Yeah.
And
Well,
those
because
they kinda
Kang is a
Mhm.
Kang is a major part of Apocalypse.
Yes.
His upbringing and stuff like that. For those of you who don't, I mean, I didn't. I was like, what? Because even King the Conqueror, I'm like, who the fuck? And then I'm like, oh yeah, he's that one guy who, you know, but no one ever gives a shit about him. You know what I'm saying? Like, yeah. So that's definitely interesting. They're also probably gonna do the adventures of Cyclops and Jean Grey, where they're in the future raising Cable, shit like that.
Yeah.
They're probably doing that whole
There's a
arc.
lot of directions that they could go that they kind of left it up to.
Wolverine's probably gonna do his Feral saga.
Yeah. You can do
Bullshit.
Wolverine goes feral.
And then he's gonna see Magneto and he's gonna lose his fucking mind and then someone's gonna die. I don't know. He's like, I don't have metal anymore, bitch. Damn.
Yeah.
No longer a 10-0 matchup. I got buffed.
No longer a 10-0 matchup. Got buffed.
I mean, there's also we're forgetting that Xavier is still now. Xavier is back, so
Yeah, bro. Yeah,
and
man.
it's like, but I was
don't
kind of
think
like
I've-
happy. I was kind of happy. It was like on not really main focus. Like, yeah, they talked about his death, but it made me happy that they focused on all the other characters within the X-Men. That's what made it so good. I'm sorry. I'm sorry.
No. I'm with you. Look, here's the thing, because I usually fuck with Xavier, but like this season, bruh, I was just like, well, to be fair, he was dying, so he didn't leave plans. But like,
Yeah.
bro, if you left the will for Magneto, or you left the will, you know Cyclops is gonna be fucking tilted by this shit. If you
wanted
could
them
have at
to
least
move
provide.
on.
I
That
know,
was-
but
he
in the
wanted them to
will, he's like, yo, Scott, look, listen, this has nothing to do with you. I want you to live your life, bro. Like, he could have said any of that shit. He just like left it to Magneto, made it some big riddle. You know what I'm saying? And
they
then
got that though, because Jean and or Madeline and fucking Scott they were planning to leave, but the real world wasn't letting it. It wasn't going down that way.
Yo, well, where Cyclops made the realization is, I'm always gonna be an X-Men.
It was just something that, regardless of their desires and intentions, Xavier included, they were all wrong. Magneto was right. But
Xavier was super raw. Well, no, he was like 75% raw. And also, he was just a little too calm in fucking space. I was like, bro, you're not feeling this shit, bro? And then when he actually felt what was going on, he was like, wait, you're not gonna marry me, beloved? He's like, nah, fuck you. I gotta go back.
My children.
My children in the atom destroyed.
Oh man! He did have that good. He had that great line where it was all right, children, we're in school and I'm the teacher. I was like, hey, yo. He was putting literal like space gods in their place. I was like, all right, there's the Xavier I know and love. And then he started.
He was like a little.
Then he started tweaking.
He was a little fucking simp, bro.
He started tweaking. He said they were drinking wine, making love. Ah.
Oh, my children of the atom.
He was tweaking that shit.
Bro, shout out to the writers, because the X-Men arcade game is literally called Children of the Atom.
There were many. There were many references.
I know, that's just one of the many. So like, especially if you're a fighting game fan, you would just like, you were just drinking this shit.
We were eating with this.
But look, I kind of disagree with Xavier on the whole Cyclops thing, but the Magneto thing, he wasn't necessarily wrong. He was just like, yo, Magneto, you're literally gonna kill fucking everyone. And Magneto's like, so?
Yeah, like let me be clear. I will say Magneto was right. I will agree with Magneto was right, because like Magneto, if you think about it, this is the crux of X-Men. Both Xavier and Magneto agree neither of them disagree with one another in regards of what they want. It's their methods that they disagree on, where Magneto is right, because he's very apprehensive of humans because he lived through the Holocaust and he doesn't want to see that happen again to mutants, and he is exposed to it.
It did happen again
every day. Exactly. So this is a man that's going through a deep trauma. He's one of the deepest characters in all of X-Men lore. He's going through it, bro.
Yeah, no, definitely. But then when Xavier's like, I love the whole mind scenes or whatever. Like that shit was, that shit was cool because you really saw the turmoil that Genosha had on Magneto. You know what I'm saying? Because he I don't think he would have went as drastic if Genosha didn't happen. But like since that shit happened. Like, I think even the Cooper lady felt so guilty because she was kind of behind it, but not really, but sort of. And then she's like, look, I didn't know. I swear. Just say something. Just call me a slut. So, you know, and he doesn't say, oh,
call me a bitch.
Just choke me. Just choke the shit out of me. Like, you know, like the overwhelming guilt that she had, you know what I'm saying? Where she ultimately let him go, but he didn't say shit. He just went to the Arctic, naked, by the way.
Well, she didn't have anything to do with it either, though. Too, she just felt so guilty.
No, I think she knew about the attack because the thing is, she was already like, I don't know. I think
she was there to
because she was in on the she was with them until he was literally turning humans into fucking Sentinels because it looked like it was all part of the plan until that moment. And then when she realized what he was going to do, it was like, oh, this shit doesn't work either. And then like, oh my God, I killed all those people from the end. And that's why she went to Magneto. Because she just realized like, oh, fuck. This isn't even for the betterment of humankind. We're fucked. And I killed a bunch of innocent people. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, because, but yeah, no, that shit was fucked up.
All right, but I think we're gonna cut it there, man. I mean, we talked about a lot. Oh man, what a good series! I'm definitely gonna rewatch the series.
We could definitely rewatch it. By the way, might as well touch on this real quick. The action scenes with the team ups and shit like that was OD.
Yeah,
like the synergy.
There was a lot of synergistic stuff. There's a lot of attention to detail. That's the thing. This really felt like a passion project and a labor of love, which a lot of Marvel projects don't feel like nowadays. The initial ones do. The initial ones that brought us into the MCU, that had us involved in the MCU, was just kind of like, man, we love this shit, and here's why. And it's on the big screen, and then it just turned to like that went away at some point. And this felt more like, yeah, this is back to what we love. There were so many nods, points, Easter eggs, old costumes brought back within the story, and it made sense. It wasn't just like, hey, let's have them wear this old costume just because. No, they were wearing costumes because of story beats. So the writing was just so on point and well written at that point. Characters being brought back, cameos, and so on and so forth. And I think that this was just an excellent series. If you haven't watched it yet, go watch it. Disney Plus.
Well, if you haven't watched it yet, consider yourself spoiled.
But go watch it. Go watch it again and again. Now, we're gonna rewatch it again and again, but make sure you check us out on YouTube, Spotify, iTunes, everywhere, and be sure to check out the homie Ruben Prime. I know he had to check out early, but check out the homie Ruben Prime on Culture Attack. He's also on Spotify and YouTube and Twitter, and I will be sure to link everything in the description. Thank you guys for hanging out. Thank you guys for checking out our podcast and everything, and check out X-Men 97. Peace. All right, we're done.